Up next, Brian, we're going to talk about removing hazardous waste from the household.
Oh, man. All right.
All right, Brian, so what we're really going to be talking about is how to unclog a toilet. This is going to be a quick episode, but I wanted to go through a few techniques because I've been in some homes recently where they did not have the right tools for the job for when a toilet got clogged.
Well, ask me as we get towards the end of the show about if you don't have the right tool, what I've done in the past.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a few tools here, and obviously you want a good toilet in the first place. Hopefully you don't have clogs. The commode doesn't get clogged. If you have a good trap built into the toilet, it's made of quality materials. It's a smooth trap. Some of the newer ones, most of the newer ones now are a lot better than some of the low flow toilets of a few years ago.
Right. When those low flow toilets first came out, the traps were kind of goofy. They weren't glazed inside, and you had all kinds of problems with clogging on those.
So obviously, what most people grab first is a plunger.
Yep.
To get to release the solids or whatever else, toilet paper, anything else that are in there that are clogging your toilet.
Right. Do you keep one in each bathroom or one for the house?
I don't, because I have better toilets now, so we have one for the house. If you're going to get a plunger, do not get the cheapy little ones that don't have a lot of volume on the plunger section. You want these power plungers. They have the huge amount of suction, and they really push that water through.
Did you clean this first?
No, so we're going to need to wash your hands when we're done with this.
I'm not touching it.
All right, so this is obviously it's handy and cheap, and usually it works.
It's the go-to tool.
Right, and it usually works. However, I've had some occasions where that does not work.
Okay.
And in some cases, you get a foreign object in the toilet, and it can be because of kids. I've seen toys get down in the toilet, things like that. The plunger will sort of get the toilet running, but you still have a low flow toilet that keeps getting clogged, and you have something in there, you're not sure what. That's when I grab the next tool, and this costs a little bit more. This tool is going to be more about $30 or $40, I think, and it's called a closet auger.
Okay.
And it looks like this. And what it does is it allows you actually stick this right down into the toilet.
Yeah.
Don't be bashful, you got to get it right in there, and the toilet actually goes up and then down. And so what you do, you get this in there, and you push with the other end. And there, you watch out. And then actually you can turn at the same time.
Right.
And that allows the spring mechanism to flow through the trap of the toilet, and it can go through pretty far, get through the toilet. It doesn't go much any further than that, and it will release any solids that are in there. It also sometimes pulls stuff out with it when you bring it back out. So that's a nice little tool. You got to be careful. You don't want to wreck the enamel on your toilet or anything like that.
Well, that's why you got this plastic part.
Right, it has a plastic, but still that thing is run in there by itself, so you want to be careful, but you can get a lot of clogs free with this tool.
Right. Well, that's similar to the one, if you don't have any tool at all, out at the campground, something like that, we've been known to just use a stick. You just go outside, you find a stick, and you just poke around in there until it's
you got to be careful because that stick can get caught in there,
break it, but that's sort of a last resort if you lose your plunger.
So I had one other occasion where neither of those tools worked. We kept having a slow flow, and it would get clogged very easily. So there is another technique that I use.
Right, something's in there blocking it, but it's not dislodging with the plunger, and the closet auger is going right past it, whatever it is.
So you got to be careful with this tool when you're using it for this, but a lot of people have them. Your Handyguys have them. I'm going to put it up here on our counter, on our workbench here, our red line workbench, and that is your nifty shop vac.
So you're going to use the shop vac. So then you got to clean out the shop vac after you're done.
Well, what you want to do first, if you're going to use a shop vac, there's a couple things. First of all, you turn off your water to the toilet. So if you have a shutoff valve, which you ought to have, you turn it off. Then you want to drain the toilet as much as possible. Get all the water out of it, out of the tank. Flush it with the water turned off. Get the water out of it.
But if you can flush it, then it's not clogged, right? Or are you just talking about where there's a partial obstruction?
This is really for partial obstructions. I know a lot of people have had to use these with small children when they get a toy down there, like a Matchbox car or something like that.
Right.
The other objects, it'll just stay lodged in there until you get it out. So I found that this is quite helpful. You want to remove the filter on this.
Okay.
There's no point getting the filter all wet with sewage water.
Okay.
All right.
Because you'll be pitching it.
Right. Yeah, you won't want to keep it after that. So you remove the filter, and you don't need the filter anyway for when you're sucking up water.
Okay.
And then you'll stick the hose down in the toilet. After you get as much of the water out of it first, it'll then suck up the remaining water. Now you got to remember, when it does that, any of the water that's still in the trap, you're now potentially sucking up sewer gas.
Right, so it's going to stink.
It could stink, and it could be, some would say it might be a little dangerous, so you have to be careful.
But you're going to go through this process pretty quickly.
It takes just 2 seconds,
Okay.
or maybe 5 seconds. You'll take, in this case, you can take this attachment off. You'll stick this right down into the toilet, right where, into the bowl, up against where the water goes out, discharges. Just throw it down there for a few seconds, and usually you'll hear a thump thump, or something like that.
Okay.
In my case, where I had something that I could not get out with the other tools, it was a plastic object, a foreign object. They got sucked right out, no problem. I took this thing out into the yard. It was in the middle of the winter, and dumped the water and anything else that was disgusting that was in it, and dumped it in the yard. Done. Problem solved.
Paul, whose idea was this topic?
I don't know. You know what?
Obviously not the guy not touching the tools.
It was my idea because I was at a home where a toilet got clogged and they only had a plunger and it wasn't working.
Okay.
So there are cases now where you're not going to be able to get it unclogged. You could have a clog further down in the system. A plumber will come in and, I don't know, they might use a power auger.
Right, sneak out the entire line.
Yeah,
right,
they can sneak out your entire line. So they have tools that are much more,
well, I've been that. I've been with augers,
powerful.
20-foot augers and stuff like that.
You can. I know someone that rented one too and used it. But usually, you're going to probably have to call Roto-Rooter or someone like that at that point. And they have all kinds of techniques. But usually one of those 3 tools will at least solve your toilet problem. So hopefully that helps you.
All right.
If you're a new homeowner, make sure you get one of those good plungers or perhaps a closet auger.
All right, that's it.
All right. Thanks for watching the Handy Guys.
Thanks.